Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to have a daily double dose of Dismal Disney. We haven't done Dismal Disney in a while, but we've got two Disney stories. We're going to talk about Bob Iger offering advice for his successor in this one, which is interesting because he really does think he's all that. He thinks Disney has power greater than prime ministers.
Yes, and then he says, I'm not an emperor, but no one ever asked him if he was, which I thought was funny.
Emperor Bob. I mean, the fact that the CEO of Disney would even go there means that he's entertained the thought in the back of his head.
That's my point. And I'm like, we already know that Iger's really up his own rear end, like they said before when he was leaving the CEO position last time. His biggest concern was, would he not get, seated at the best tables at restaurants and things because he isn't important anymore? And I was like, that's your biggest concern? Walt
Disney never gave a shit about any of that stuff. Like, he really didn't. So this just shows just how different. I think this illustrates perfectly how different the modern Walt Disney Company is from Walt's Disney. And they really are two different companies. We had the Eisner years, which were kind of the go-between, I guess, where Eisner still respected what Walt did, and he still tried to be, tried to stay close to Walt's vision, but also had to step in the corporate world, and Bob Iger's just all corporate.
Well, Iger also talks about how whoever succeeds him is going to have to basically understand that, the past is important, but sometimes you have to, forget the past to move forward also.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that because we're going to talk about the box office with Disney. And this was Iger's big thing was movies. And they've had many, many, many flops over the last couple of years. And it looks
I would say there's probably more flops than successes.
Yeah. I mean, you hear about the successes, right? You always hear about like, oh, look, Inside Out 2 did, a cajillion dollars. But that has to make up for like 5 flops, right? And
right.
They don't. Or we've had movies just, underperform. Fantastic Four wasn't a flop outright, but it definitely didn't perform to what they were hoping for. I mean, the days of them doing $1 billion at the box office for every movie, it's definitely over. Now, what's going to happen is Zootopia 2 and Avatar 3 are both going to do really well, I think. And then they're going
to as they can, it's honestly going to depend on if people get their assistants and stuff turned back on, if people get back to work.
My God.
I'm serious. It's going to depend on those things. It's going to depend on people, that aren't being paid in the jobs that are on temporary, that are like, they're not getting paid right now. Military and government jobs, they aren't getting paid, but I think they're still expected to work. They don't have any money. Like, how are they supposed to go to the movies if they don't have any money? Like, they're already trying, and when they do get the money back, they're going to be dealing with trying to catch up everything they got behind. They're not going to have the money to do it. So I think it'll do really well, and it might do really well globally, but in the United States, I think it's still going to do okay, but I have to ask myself, how much of an impact is it going to have? Avatar might be fare better if things get resolved soon, but Zootopia might definitely get hit. And so Wicked for Good. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I guess Predator Badlands isn't doing that hot either. Which I don't know why people thought that one was going to be like $100 million opening.
The reviews are like it's a kinder and gentler Predator, and I'm like, wait, no one wants to go see Predator to see what he's a sympathetic, kinder, gentler bad guy. No one wants that. It's Predator.
It would be the second biggest opening for Predator movie. Yeah, because you're not adjusting for inflation though. Right. That's the thing, because the original Predator movies, look, they were never like massive hits. That's what people are misremembering this. But this isn't a franchise that I don't think this can be resuscitated at the box office. I think Alien, you can get with Alien. And the reason that Alien versus Predator did as well as it did is because it's Alien versus
and Predator both. Right. And this might have been better served to be like a Hulu. Or, I wouldn't say Disney Plus. I'd say Hulu on this.
Hulu movie. We'll talk about this because this is Bob's legacy. Is basically he bought a bunch of stuff and Disney ran it all into the ground.
Bob's legacy of Borg.
Oh God.
Borg.
So before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
There's still time. We're going to leave this open for another probably week or so. Geeky Sparkles Christmas party pins. Thank you so much for the support. We definitely exceeded what I thought we'd do for the Christmas pins, given the short time frame. But we do have some extras. We will leave it open basically until we run out. We have to lock the order in with the manufacturer. So thank you. Check it out on Kickstarter. All right. So walk me through Emperor Bob's spiel.
So apparently he was on this podcast. I forget what it's called. It's on the list there.
The rest is history.
Okay. Yeah. I guess he likes this podcast. So it was kind of cute because he was very, very excited to be on this podcast. I think it's something he watches. So he was kind of like, so he was kind of like, not that Tom Holland.
Oh, it's a different Tom Holland?
Yes.
Oh.
Anyway, he was very excited. He was very excited to be on there. And it was kind of cute because he was like a little bit giddy about it. But the stuff he said, you're going to have to make this bigger if you can because it's hard for me to read. Or you're going to have to read it.
All right. Let's make it bigger. Can you see that? All right.
I can. See, my monitor makes it tiny. So they were asking him questions about stuff. He gave him a tour of the facilities. And they said, about what's going to happen moving forward with your successor and stuff. And what what is his thoughts on being a CEO and things like that. So these are some of the quotes that came out of that. Bob, I think more than anything else, I would want to be known as someone who was given the keys to this kingdom, so to speak, and quite a kingdom it is. And that I brought it to a place that even Walt will be proud of. No. And what that means is more great storytelling to a larger audience, more innovation, more risk-taking, more creation of happiness. It's really that simple.
You're a weatherman, Bob. No, Walt would not be happy. He would not be happy.
I don't know. I mean, he was kind of a... Well, it could be difficult too, but I mean,
he could be difficult, but he was definitely about putting the vision first, and the modern Disney company is about putting the profit first.
Well, I think and I think it's more for Bob. Everything's more of a product because
a product, yes.
He acquires everything. Like all this, Disney is late. What are they known for? They're known for Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars all doing bad. And Lucasfilm all doing poorly, except for Pixar maybe, and they're doing sequels now. And but back to the Disney's own stuff that they didn't acquire through, even Alien and Predator and stuff, their own stuff, it's not doing well. They're not innovating anymore. They're just assimilating. Yeah,
no, that's pretty accurate. And Disney would not have been on board with that at all. I mean, they always wanted to do their own stuff. He wanted to push the envelope creatively, and it was basically his brother that had to rein him in and be like, hey, Walt, this is going to cost a lot of money.
Even on the theme park end, they're falling behind. They're getting their butts kicked. Okay, for example, they just did the Zootopia Better Together show in the Tree of Life or whatever. My kids were all very entertained because in the queue of the original It's Tough to Be a Bug, there was a big giant poop ball that was supposed to be a dung beetle ball. It's a giant ball of, it's concrete, but it's made to look like crap. So instead of just repurposing that, or I think it's probably structurally part of the building or something, but instead of doing something with it that's really creative, they basically just stuck paw prints and hoof prints all over it, said it was soil from all the biomes in Zootopia, and it was the Unity Ball. Instead of spending money to actually make some changes, the inside still looks like it's like underground and everything else. Instead of making changes, they just basically just did that to be cheap. And meanwhile, Epic Universe is out there flat out kicking your ass. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Epic Universe. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They let all their talent go, and they all went to Universal, and now Universal is bringing it. And that should be the level of care that Disney has in their parks now. And
other theme parks are beating them. I mean, Dollywood is not as like a technically advanced, as Disney, but it's still beating them out in the top spots for theme parks people love.
Like guest satisfaction and stuff. Right. Like, I mean, seriously, well, because Disney is basically, you're paying hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars a day to get repeatedly kicked in the ass, kicked in the nuts.
It didn't used to be that way. Well, another example of Bob's legacy are the ridiculous price hikes. The parks have been so overpriced that it's pricing everyone out. He also was behind the lightning lane. You paid lightning lane idiocy. They're like, oh, that was Chapek. No, it was actually implemented under Chapek, but it started between Chapek and Iger. Ahead of that, like Chapek, I'm sure was involved, but it started before that when Iger was still in charge. That they were going to do this to make more money, and he has not walked it back. Instead, they've ramped up the cost, and then record profits, guys. Attendance is down, but more spending per guest. Well, yeah, that's all Bob's legacy right there. But anyway, he goes on. Here's what he said. You have more power about being CEO. You have more power than a lot of elected prime ministers, not necessarily over the day-to-day lives of people, but over people's heads, people's imaginations. Do you ever think about that? Like he asked them, do you, like, this is what he's saying for successor. You're going to have more power than prime ministers.
Yes.
And, do you ever think about how much power you have? Well, I'm sure Bob does. Bob loves power. Bob loves being special.
This never would have come up in a conversation, even with Michael Eisner. Michael Eisner was, he was aware, he was cognizant of his position, but he also was like, I'm a custodian. I'm a custodian of Disney.
Well, he mentioned something like that later, but then he goes, the same part. I certainly don't consider myself an emperor. Well, no one mentioned Emperor Bob, so why did you put that in there? You have more power than prime ministers, but I'm not an emperor. Dude, that's a huge jump. And the only reason that you make that jump is if you in your head, you're talking about how much power you have and you've equated yourself as an emperor, because nobody has ever compared Bob Iger to an emperor, except for Bob Iger here in this conversation. I think about the power of a great story, of course, but I don't think about us being powerful. I think about us having the luxury that includes both the luxury of being involved with great artists and the luxury of having the resources to tell wonderful stories in the world, and hopefully through our storytelling to have a positive influence in the world, except that you kept shoving shit in over story, and look what happened. Certainly in today's world, just the ability to make really billions of people happy is an incredible luxury and something that I'm very mindful of. But I don't think about it in terms of having power, except maybe the power to do good. You just compared yourself to an emperor, Bob. I think you think a lot about your power. You said you were worried about not being CEO anymore because you weren't going to get the best tables at restaurants because you weren't important. That's not the words of somebody who just wants to do good and isn't about power.
Yeah, that's a little weird. So let's see. He talked about his successor's job to embrace the past unless it interferes with the future. So Song of the South, guys, you're never getting that released. That's okay. You can find a 4K upscaled version of it on the internet, by the way. You can, and it actually looks pretty damn good. Anyway, I think because of the company's place in the world, I think the person running the company has a special responsibility of sorts to maintain Disney's position in the world as a beloved company.
Well, it's already slipped considerably.
Yeah, it has. As an admired company, as a company that entertains really the world, everyone of all ages, and from all different walks of life. Well, good. Remember that. All different walks of life, not just Los Angeles, not just Portland.
Not just the people that are wealthy enough to pay for your shit.
They're wealthy enough to pay for it. As I think about the future, I would hope that my successor would be respectful of our past.
My successors.
Successors, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a couple things I could mean, but go ahead.
A couple things I could mean. Will be respectful of our past and well aware of the values that really created the company in the first place and carry them forward, but not let anything that's been done in the past get in the way of bringing the company into the future.
So if we have to step all over it to move forward, in our opinion, we will do so.
Yeah, that's really consistent or constant innovation, a constant exploration, a constant essentially desire to reinvent and or to invent even more than anything else. That's what I'd want. But I think
you don't invent anything. You just buy it.
I think we do occupy a space in the world as great storytellers, perhaps maybe the greatest in many respects, not anymore. And I would hope that that position would continue for years and years.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing about the successors. I mean, he's probably referring to people that come after him moving forward. Like there's going to be probably many people after him unless they completely run the company into the ground, which is also possible. But there also was discussion that it's coming down mostly, according to reports, to Dana Walden and Josh D'Amaro. There has been questions that they might make them co-CEOs, given the now size of the company, thanks to Iger's overspending. And then they have the streaming and all that. They have all this stuff that they're working with. Dana Walden's better suited to handle the entertainment side, while Josh D'Amaro could handle the other side, which is like the parks and experiences, which is a much larger money generator for the company, by the way. It's like almost twice as much as what the entertainment side does. So there's talk that they could make them co-CEOs, kind of like they do with Netflix. And honestly, I think it makes sense. I think that would be a good idea because I think it's too much for one person to manage. But that's also the discussion.
Yeah, I think that honestly, at this point, I don't think any one person can manage Disney because they're spinning too many plates. I think that's part of the reason that they're having the problems they're having is there's just too much. The empire
they could be
is too vast.
Co-emperors.
There you go. So we talked about Walt. He said, I admire so much about Walt. I'd say one of the things I admire the most is his guts. He had
This is
unbelievable
true.
guts. Yes. Actually, it was more than guts. It was courage. He had a vision. He was almost
Yes.
always convinced that his vision was right, and he had the confidence
Yes.
to attempt to really execute. Yeah, the only one that told him no, basically, was his brother, who was like,
Well, Imagineering told him no when he wanted to make Epcot like a city where people could like live and everybody could watch them like little ants in an ant farm.
yeah, they said it's not a good idea, but they basically said, like, if you told Walt no, he was like, yeah, whose name is on the like?
Well,
let's
yeah.
do what I say.
But, you know, I know people kind of like in a nice way were like, it's not a good idea. But yeah, his brother was one he listened to mostly. But, you know, it's not untrue what he said. Unfortunately, that's not you, Bob.
No, Bob is a weatherman who got lucky. He's very corporate. He doesn't have the vision. Actually, I keep thinking of the movie Robots, right? Mm-hmm. Where they kept the creator of the company kind of like in prison or whatever, and it's been a long time since I've seen it. But yeah, they've definitely lost that spark, and whatever spark they've had over the last few decades, it's come from individual creators, and a lot of them are no longer with the company because they got tired of the cultural change.
But they got pushed out.
They got pushed out. Yeah. So like, I think Walt's spark is still there, but I think it's the flames are going to spread throughout other areas of the entertainment industry. It just feels like Disney's actually the least Disney of all the.
Yeah, he keeps going on about
companies.
how we're like, you know, the cornerstone, and we need to be admired. We need an admired company. We need to be you know, the ones that are creating things. It's like, but you're not creating, you're just assimilating. You're creating very little except for sequels. But then when you try to do new things, people don't go see them because it's not stuff people want. Meanwhile, people will go see movies like, you know, Minecraft movie or, you know, other things. They'll go to see those things. They just don't want to see what you have to offer.
Yeah, and again, this is like, I mean, everybody brings up Disney, but like Predator and Alien were not Disney things. The fact that we're bringing them into the, you know, all of this. So Marvel was not a Disney thing, but now it is. Pixar was not. I mean, it was distributed by Disney, but it wasn't a Disney thing. And almost all of these brands, they've run into the ground because they don't understand what makes them work. The Muppets probably I think that's the most tragic.
Well, they're trying really hard with that one now. They're doing a new Muppet show. There's
Miss
a bunch
Piggy
of Muppet
movie
stuff.
or something.
Yeah, Miss Piggy movie, which will probably. I saw the writer. I'm like, oh great, it's going to be exactly what you think.
Yeah.
I'm just like, they keep trying, but they try and fail because they don't understand this stuff. And instead of just being like, you know, we don't understand it, let's bring people in to do. They just, you know, push people out and then run it into the ground.
Yeah, and it's they really have lost the soul of the company. I mean, if nothing else.
Well, that's what happens when you're an emperor.
Your empires crumble. They get too big and they collapse under their own weight. And this is kind of what I was talking about in another video before. Like, companies don't want to just be sustainable anymore. And when they go public, they have to constantly do a song and dance for the shareholders and show more profit, more profit, more profit.
We were talking about that recently about like utility companies and all this other stuff and how they've been so weird lately because a lot of them is now, you know, publicly traded and it's all about making money for the rich. And they used to be about the best service they could offer, the more customers they could get. They used to care about their customers, and now you're just a number in a computer screen, and they don't give two shits about you as long as they're making money. And that's unfortunately where most of these companies have gone. It is what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're gonna wrap it up.
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.